Hello everyone, this is Rogue Jones. I'm just going to talk about a little product for D&D. Probably already heard of it. The spell book cards for Arcane. I was looking for easier references to spells and abilities in the Player's Handbook when I help people fill out character sheets. It tends to take forever. It literally takes like an hour per person. Maybe it's because I'm a little new to everything. For everyone to pick class, race, and a combination of their stuff like that. And I've always been a little worried when it comes to the magic users because they have a lot to have to remember. You have to remember all their spells that they can have, how many per day that they can do, what do they do. And I saw these online, these cards, and everything's turning very yellow. Huh. And I thought this is the easiest way to solve this other than like photocopying, which would probably be perfectly fine, rules entries and whatnot. So you got over 200 different cards, and these are supposed to be good for the Warlock, the Wizard, and the Sorcerer. So you got quite a bit. They're all arranged by level, as you can see there. It's a 5, and then you have first level spells, and your well, that's not cantrips. There's the cantrips, and your cantrips, which is really, really, really good. Something I've suggested for a while and wanted to see though is I also collected Zatch Bell at a point. And I'm pretty for sure you can get empty Zatch Bell books online for dirt cheap. And I'm wondering, well, can this be a stand-in for a spell book? You can have a wizard in your party defeat another wizard and grab a spell book. Clearly, you don't want to give them all the spells your opponent had, but it would be a good way to reward the wizard as you get this other spell book and you can go through the spells too. So I'm going to go test if these cards actually fit in a Zatch Bell spellbook, and you can pay. There's a bunch of different colors, and I'm pretty for sure they got to be cheaper now that the card game is completely dead. See if I can do this with one hand. I have finally put some cards in here, so it did fit. Just see, you can open up your spellbook and see you got them. Wow, the shine from the lighting. It's probably not picking it up very well. Eldritch Blast. Dancing Lights, and they're nice and protected because now there's card covering on them. Chill Touch, yeah. So, I would suggest definitely pick up one of these. They gotta be cheap. You should be able to pick them up. I think even just the starter decks, if you want to throw out the cards, probably still $10 or less. So, the spell cards, perfectly good. If you have a friend that has these, it's a nice little way to walk around with your spell cards. Reward your players with a physical thing. And you have defeated the Archmage, and you have gotten his spell book, and you get to flip through it instead of just like reading a piece of paper or telling them what they got. They really get to explore it themselves. So I not only picked up the spell stuff, but I also picked up the racial abilities and the martial abilities cards. And I was sitting here and thinking, well, I could not have to fill out the character cards, right? Like some of the character stat stuff. Because then, you know, they should be good. They should be able to fill it out. When I noticed most of these characters aren't even in the main rulebook, like the player's rulebook. A lot of this is for Elemental Evil. Like Yuan Ti, you got all the Genasi stuff. I think the only stuff in the main rulebook that is here is Tiefling and Forest Gnome? Drow, you can do Drow. And all of them are normally spells. They aren't really racial abilities. And, well, I guess the spells stand in for them so they don't have to write different pages. But, yeah, I was a little disappointed in that. I was expecting more diversity in the racial stuff. And then you got I guess barbarians had a few spells that they get, were stuff that work like spells. You got like 3 cards for them. Then you got all these fighter maneuvers. That's pretty good. If you have a lot of fighters, that'll help out. Now, at the time, maybe because maybe it's not in the core book, maybe it's in a different book, did not know how much monks had to work with. So if you had a monk or a fighter, which I did, if we ever get to the story about the halfling monk, where it was a gnome monk. It was a gnome monk that was a revenge character. If we ever get there, I'll talk about it, but it would have been useful to have these. But I think it's not an option in the core book to use this. I think this has a lot to do with when you do... No, it does have key blasts, so it is key oriented. Maybe I'm a little off. Maybe we just didn't get far enough in his monkiness to use it. This is just Relic Jones talking about the reference cards from D&D. This is just me signing out. Thanks for watching.